We are getting ready to take some more notes in our journal today. Make sure that you have your math journal. You should have already written math journal on the outside. It should already be set up with your title page, your copyright page, and your table of contents because we've already put notes on journal page 1 in the previous video. So now you're going to open up your math journal back to your table of contents where you have entry 1. You are not going to skip lines. Okay, if you skip lines, we're probably going to run out of room on the table of contents page, and we don't want to do that. So make sure that you do not skip lines, and we're actually going to take 2 sets of notes today. So the first set of notes is called place value. So you're going to write place value, ... page 2. And then right under there, without skipping lines, you're going to write decimal place value, ... page 3. So we are reviewing some whole number place value from last year and introducing some decimal place value for this year. Also, you'll notice that I'm writing in a pen this time instead of in a pencil because my pencil kept breaking in the first video, and I think it's a little bit easier for you to see the pen. Do not write in pen in your journals. We make mistakes a lot of times in math, and that's why we write in a pencil so that it can easily be erased. So I'm just writing in pen so that you can see it, but please, you guys write in pencil in your journals. So now that we have page 2 and 3 in our table of contents, we're going to turn. This is page 1 that we did the last video. We're going to go to the back of page 1. And on the back of page 1, we're going to put page 2, wherever your number in your page is. Miss Bridges likes it at the bottom, but you can put it wherever you like. So there's my page number at the bottom, page 2. Now, in your notes that you were given, you need to find the journal page that looks like this. It says place value at the top. Now, if you try to glue this on page 2 going this way, it would stick out of your journal page. It would stick out of your composition book. Students in the past have tried to cut it. That takes way too long. It's much easier if you just turn your notebook sideways and glue it this way. Okay, so you can see my page 2 down here at the bottom, and I'm going to glue this, going this way, so that way it all fits on my notebook. So we're going to do a box around the sides, around the edges, a nice big X in the middle, and glue down place value. Make sure you don't cover up wherever you put your page number. So these notes are kind of like fill in the blank. So the first thing, these are some vocabulary words, math vocabulary words. The first thing has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So a lot of students, when I ask them what this is, they say, oh, it's numbers. Not exactly. They're actually called digits. Digits is a more accurate term for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because if you call them numbers, like the number 29 is a number, but it's comprised or it's made up of 2 digits. 29 is made up of a 2 and a 9. So that's why we use the term digits when we're just talking about 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we use the term number when we're talking about any specific number. I'm going to zoom in a little here. I think that looks a little better. All right, so some more vocabulary. It says each group of 3 digits is called I've had very few kids know this, but it's actually called a period. Every 3 numbers is called a period. And a comma is used to separate each period. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen before when you see really large numbers, they use a comma after every 3 digits. So I'm going to put 2 examples in this place value chart right here. I want you to put 2 examples as well. So I'm going to put 114,870,200,640. Notice I did not say the word and at all when I read that. That's very important. The only time you're supposed to say and is when you see a decimal. And since I don't see an and in here, I did not say a decimal. But I am missing my commas. So every 3 digits, 1, 2, 3, that's a period. We put a comma to separate them. 1, 2, 3, that's a period, comma to separate them. 1, 2, 3, that's a period, comma to separate them. All right, I'm going to give you one more example. We're going to do 17 billion, 7,431,172. So I'd like you to pause the video here and see if you can put the commas in the correct place before I tell you where they go. All right, so they're gonna go 1, 2, 3 right there, 1, 2, 3. Every 3 digits we put a period. All right, we have a few more vocabulary words. These should be a review of some terms that you learned last year in your math class. The place a digit is in tells you that digit's value. And it says in parentheses what it's worth. The value of something, what something is worth, is its value. The second one says a common way of writing numbers using digits. That is called standard form. Standard form. My line is a little too short. Standard form is just the regular common way to write them. They have you an example right here. So I used the example 29 earlier. Let's stick with that. So 29. That's the regular way you write the number 29. A way of writing numbers that shows the place value of each digit added together. This is expanded form. Expanded form. And if you think about that word, expanded, and the way that you write expanded form, it is bigger. It's expanded. It's larger. So we're going to keep with our example 29. But if I want to write it in expanded form, I'm going to take the value of each digit. So even though this is a digit of 2, that 2 is in the tens place. So its value, 2 tens, is actually worth 20. Plus, I'm going to add the value of the next digit. That is a 9 in the ones place, so 9 ones is worth 9. So expanded form is 20 plus 9. Now, this is a review of 4th grade. This is not how we do expanded form in 5th grade, but for the purposes of this video, we're just reviewing. We will get to expanded form, I don't know, next week or the next, and then we'll learn the expanded form the 5th grade way. And finally, writing a number using words, well, that's word form. You will be asked to write numbers in standard, expanded, and word form often. So we're going to keep with our same example, 29, and we're going to write that in word form. So 29. And anytime you have a TY word followed by another word, you are supposed to put a hyphen. 29, 74. Any of those TY words, when it has something after it, you put a hyphen between it. So that was whole number place value. Remember I said we were doing 2 journal pages today. The next page goes on page 3, which is right next to page 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write page 3 at the bottom. I'm going to keep my journal turned sideways because this journal page also won't fit the regular way. It's the one that says decimal place value. You'll have to find it in the work that you were given. Put some glue around the edges. Whoops. Big X in the middle. And there we go. So, for decimal place value, we're going to review. Hopefully I'll remember to shade this in before I make y'all's copies. But if I don't remember, you're going to shade in on this first square. You're going to shade in the first 2 columns. And then in the second square, you're going to shade in the entire first column and 5 little bitty squares of the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully I'll already have that shaded for you when you get your copy. So it asks us, or it tells us that decimals are just like fractions. They're pieces of a whole number. If you ate 1/4 of a pizza, well, that's pretty easy to figure out because the pizza's cut into 4 pieces and you eat one of them. Well, 1/4 is the same as decimal 25. So it's decimals and fractions are just pieces of a whole. Kind of like decimal 25, if you think about money, that's 25 cents. Well, 25 cents is a piece of a whole dollar, just like 1/4 is a piece of or 1/4 of a pizza is a slice or a portion of the whole pizza. So it asks us to write a decimal that represents each picture. So we're going to actually write this as a fraction and then as a decimal. So if you think about it as a fraction, if you count all the little bitty squares that we shaded in 20 of them. And if you count all the little bitty squares that there are, there's actually 100 total squares. So that would be 20 hundredths as a fraction. Now we're going to take that same number, 20 hundredths, but this time we're going to write it as a decimal. So 20 hundredths would be decimal 20 hundredths. Now, this is something that I say at the beginning of the year and I say all year long. 20 hundredths is the same exact thing as 2/10. This 0 here at the end does not change the value. Okay, you can add zeros to the end of decimals and it will not change what that decimal is worth. Here's the way I like to think about it. This is 20 pennies. If I handed you 20 pennies, you would have 20 cents. This is 2 dimes. If I handed you 2 dimes, you would have 20 cents. So 20 pennies, 2 dimes. Same thing. It's 20 cents. You can also think of it this way. We colored in 20 squares, 20 out of 100 squares. That's 20 hundredths. We also colored in 2 10 sticks or 2/10 of the whole entire square here. All right, so for our last fraction that we're going to write as a decimal based off of this picture, if we think about a fraction first, we colored in 15 little bitty squares, and there are 100 squares, so that would be 15 hundredths. And the way that we write 15 hundredths as a decimal is going to be decimal 15. You can put as many zeros at the end of, oops, can't see that. You can put as many zeros as you want at the end of this. They're not necessary, but it's not going to change the value of it. It's still going to be worth 15 hundredths. You will see this a lot where it's 20 hundredths and 2/10. You're not really going to see a lot of times where they add zeros to the end of 15 hundredths. You will, however, see sometimes where they put zeros in front of the decimal. 0 ones and 15 hundredths. The last thing that we're going to do, this place value chart right here, I think I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So this place value chart right here has the decimal places written. Your decimal is here, then it's tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths. What's missing is what goes on the left of the decimal place, or the whole numbers. The whole numbers is what we just did a few minutes ago, and it's a review from 4th grade. So we're going to fill this in, and I'm going to turn my book this way because it's going to be easier for me to write. So to the left of the decimal is the ones place, then comes tens, and if you forgot this, it is on journal page 2. Then we have hundreds, thousands. You should be filling this out with me. 10,000s, no abbreviations. If I'm writing it out, you should be writing out. 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, and 100 millions. So the reason I wanted us to fill that out so that we can look at and compare the whole number places to decimal places. So first of all, they almost, our decimal point is our dividing line. Let me put my pen here. So they almost repeat themselves. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. We hear that 10, 100 over and over again. 10, 100, 10, 100. If we kept going, we would keep hearing it. Same thing on the right of the decimal, or the decimal places. We have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, then 10,000ths, 100,000ths. If you notice, on to the right of the decimal, we don't have a ones place or a once place. There is no such thing as a once place, okay? It doesn't exist to the right of the decimal, and that is a common mistake that students will make in 5th grade. It is important. I don't usually count off for spelling when you're writing decimals, except for the last 3 letters. If you notice, all of these decimal places have the exact same last 3 letters, and that's THS. While the whole numbers do end in an S, they do not end in a THS. So if you tell me 5 tens, tens is here. But if you want to tell me 5 tenths, then you're going to have to make sure that you put THS on the end of it for tenths. So we'll get more into writing decimals in words, but you have to start learning them now. The place values, tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, and knowing that they end in THS. Since we already talked about standard expanded in word form on the previous page, and it's going to look a little bit different, especially the expanded form, when we get to that in decimals. We're not going to skip these last 3 lines on this page, so you can put an X on it. We are skipping it. We will take some more notes on standard expanded in word form and decimals in a later video. So now you need to find your sheet that has blank place values on it, and you're going to fill in, I believe it's 5 blank place values. Here's mine. All right, so we have 1 already done for you, and you need to fill them in. Remember, your starting point is your decimal place. Students who make a mistake on this, they start either on the left or on the right. You don't want to start on the left or on the right. You want to start at the decimal place and move left to write your whole numbers, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, so on and so forth. Go back to the decimal place and move right to do your decimal places, tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, and so on. And make sure all of these decimal places to the right end in THS, and all the ones to the left do not end in THS, but they do end in an S. You're going to fill in 5 charts. There's 1, 2, and then 3 on the back. If you have any questions, shoot me an email.